Hello everyone, my name is Samuel Flynn. I'm the co-founder and chief exec here at Hands In. And little fun fact about me, this slightly fatter, less good looking version of myself was actually me this time on this stage last year at the MPE, winning the Startup Innovation of the Year award. So this is very full circle for me actually being here now a year later, not necessarily pitching, but now educating. But what is this education going to be about? Well, this topic is going to be about how split payments is the next value-added service for PSPs and how it can deliver increases in incremental revenue for PSPs. Let's jump straight into it. So in terms of what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to define exactly what split payments is, talk about some of the use cases, how split payments have evolved over time, and what we feel as a split payment provider is going to be the next big opportunity. And most importantly, why is this relevant to PSPs? So firstly, let's define exactly what this is. This is when a customer or customers use multiple different payment sources to settle a particular transaction. Now, with these new types of payment sources, there's obviously consumer-related benefits and benefits to the merchant. It could be in terms of convenience of having this payment method enabled, cash flow management with services like buy now, pay later, or installment payments, splitting payments over several different card types or in periods of times, and addressing low credit limits. And obviously for the merchants, as a result of adding these services, enhancing conversion rates, and as a result, impacting incremental revenue, and obviously delivering customer satisfaction. But we now need to look into the use cases of split payments, and typically payments are split when there's high basket value. So naturally an obvious use case would be travel and hospitality, given the high basket values we see in this sector. But there's also many others that I'm sure many of you are thinking here already. There's e-commerce, for example, in the luxury goods market, events and entertainment for high-end hospitality experiences, restaurant and food services, and utilities and bills. And I'm sure you can think of many, many more use cases that could potentially apply to your business or other use cases out there. But combining this all together, this is obviously a multi-billion-dollar market, right? But PSPs are not taking full advantage of this. Now, to talk about split payments and how different payment services have actually evolved over time, we need to look into the market. In the early 2010s, we saw the introduction of challenger banks, and with that, peer-to-peer payment solutions like Venmo, and obviously we have Tiki in Netherlands. They also introduced their own split bill feature, which enabled people to share different costs of transactions. Then we've got the infamous consumer wallet and apps, services like Splitwise, which is a great app. I'm sure we've all used it at one point in our life. There's also services like TryAccount. But the unfortunate truth is none of these businesses have really hit venture scale, and none of them actually provide any value proposition to the PSPs. And obviously buy now, pay later, which has gone an absolute mammoth rise over the last decade. But as we know, with increasing regulation to this market, that's going to do increased affordability checks on users making payments. But then at the same time, requiring consumers that each time they make a payment to sign up to a loan, this is naturally going to tamper conversion rates. And PSPs and everyone in the room should be thinking about what's the next opportunity. Well, at Hands In, we provide a list of 3 different sources that potentially can answer this question. The first is a multi-card solution. This is taking a single payment and spreading it amongst multiple different cards. The second is a group checkout solution, which is taking the innovative process of Splitwise and bringing it to the checkout to enable consumers to divide the payment and split the payment with their peers all in one place. And finally, a new version of installments that is interest-free and is now being dubbed Save Now, Pay Later, that is enabling the merchant and the user to set up an installment plan completely interest-free to be paid off in bi-weekly, weekly, monthly increments, but they do not receive the inventory or ticket until the full balance is paid up. I'm going to talk about all 3 of these solutions in much more depth and the potential use cases behind them. So let's first start off with a multi-card. I'm going to show you a rough product demo. So how it works is it can be enabled at the checkout. The customer goes to checkout, selects the option to split this payment across multiple cards. So for example, an airline ticket could be an amazing example for this. Selects the number of cards they'd like to split with, enters in each designated amount on each card, and then the customer authorizes each amount on each card, which us as a provider, we essentially pre-authorize those cards, collect those funds, and pass the funds over to the merchant's connected gateway and acquiring infrastructure. Fantastic, right? Nice, short, simple, and effective. But I'm sure you also must be thinking, just outside of the checkout play, where else could this product be enabled? Well, in a recent report done by MasterCard taken across 191 airlines and OTAs, found that the average card failure rate was 12% in this industry. And the card failure rate due to insufficient funds was more than a third. We've built this product so that not only can it be available at checkout, so customers can use this when they're just actually purchasing at the point of sale, but also at the point of decline. So you can see this little pop-up here on the screen. Imagine you as a business or a PSP get a decline code to say, hey, payment on high basket value items, say a long-haul flight, had declined due to insufficient funds. We can enable this pop-up to enable that user to split that payment across several cards. And we think this is fantastic and innovative and a great way at recovering transactions that would otherwise fail. And we're not the only ones that are spouting this information. We're actually going to be launching this with our airline client Air Europa, one of the largest Spanish airlines, in the next coming months. And specifically the use case they see there is for their Latin America market. Because for those that are banked, the banks have imposed credit limits to curb the high inflation rates out there. They're seeing customers request specifically on their platform the ability to pay this amount across several cards, especially on long-haul flights and other high basket items that they provide. But I'm also sure you must be thinking, well, why hasn't something like this existed before? As you can see here on the screen, this is a citation from the top 10 retailers in the US, and only one of them, Crate and Barrel, actually allows split payment transactions online. And this is because merchants struggle to provide the infrastructure to enable multi-card payments. I'm going to talk to you about all three of these different struggles. So obviously there's verification issues. How can we verify each individual card payment, or how could a merchant do it? Complex refund process. If you're going to initiate a refund, what card does it go to? Does it go to all cards? How much will be the refund on a particular card? This can be a nightmare for merchants to enable. And obviously, finally, consumer misuse. What we don't want is to encourage consumers to buy Rolexes, Casio watches on 20 different credit cards, getting them into a real hot and bother situation. And at Hands In, we solve most of those issues by running 3DS checks on every single card payment. For refunds, we can wire it to a specific card, a specific amount on a specific card, or we could refund all of the cards altogether. And for misuse, where we're a white label solution, we allow the merchants to select the number of cards they would like the consumer to split the payment with. So this is all controlled inside our platform, and this is the benefit of working with third-party providers. And for the group checkout solution, so this is what we're actually quite famously known for being quite an innovative and sexy solution. How this product works is the lead booker can go to the checkout of one of our live merchants, select this as a payment option. We then give them the ability to split the transaction, whether this be in equal amounts with each individual item that's in the cart, or with custom amounts. And then they share a link with their fellow travelers or peers to join the payment. This can be gone straight into a WhatsApp group chat or any social media service that they're using. We also have QR code, text message, and email enabled. And everyone joins together to pay their individual share. And we've just also launched an installment option for this as well. And again, this is simple, convenient, effective, and is a fantastic value-added service that everyone should be taking advantage of. But I'm sure you must also be thinking, why hasn't this existed before? Well, the answer to that is obviously legacy. This here, EasyJet Holidays, you'd think this is a provider that's certainly booming at the moment that would have the answer to this question. But this is a snapshot from their existing group booking flow. You can see this is 6 steps to our 1. It's incredibly labor intensive. If any of you know the group payment process, it often involves multiple teams, so it's likely to be incredibly costly. And also an operational nightmare where you've got different teams having to speak with one another constantly to even just convert the sale. And finally, this is typically only catered towards larger pack sizes. So pack sizes typically of, say, bookings of 9 and above, right? But what about the payment for, say, a group of 4 to 6 people where they might be buying a long-haul flight or a travel expense, and it can be quite expensive, and potentially don't have the credit limits to just front it all on one particular card, right? There is certainly an incremental revenue that PSPs and merchants can unlock by providing this solution. And one of the merchants that's actually operating heavily in this space is Qantas. In Q4 of 2023, they launched their own pay-per-person split payment, group payment solution. And it works the exact same way in terms of how our product works, but we think as a provider in this space, this is great. Because what it's doing is it's showing this emerging trend and demonstrating to the fact that it's starting to have some traction. But also, we have just launched with Air Europa. So if you want to come corner me off the stage and actually see how this product works specifically with them, I can show you exactly that. And finally, the save now, pay later piece. So again, this is an alternative take to buy now, pay later that we're starting to see be a big emerging trend. How it works is the customer can select this as an option at the checkout. The customer then sets up their own individual installment plan where they pay a deposit for the merchant to receive that initial part of the payment, then set up an installment plan in weekly, bi-weekly, monthly increments. And once they pay the deposit, this activates the installment plan. But the key distinction here versus buy now, pay later, for the merchant receiving the money and then ultimately issuing the ticket or providing the good and the service, in this case, we're not doing that. We're enabling the customer to basically save their way or pay up towards actually receiving the full product. And we're going to be piloting this with one of our airline clients, Air Europa. However, they're not the only ones doing this. We have word that Emirates are doing their own solution later this year, as well as Qatar. So this is certainly going to be something that everyone needs to be made aware of. But finally, for the last 10 minutes of me rambling on, why is this relevant to PSPs? Well, you guys are the gatekeepers. In a survey that we conducted, 80% of merchants seek to activate alternative payment methods via their PSPs. I'm sure for many of you in the room, the account managers, you know this to be all well and true. Also, as not only from all of the slides I provided before that demonstrates that demand is ramping up, we recently did a survey with some of the logos that you can see here on the screen, and 60% of the interviewed merchants expressed an interest in enabling both group and multi-card payments. Meanwhile, 20% for the installment payment product. But what are the benefits for you guys for offering this new type of value-added service? Well, obviously increases in incremental revenue. By driving conversion rates on higher basket transactions, you can increase transaction volumes, which is going to be good for the business overall. And also recovering failed transactions with the multi-card product, especially at the decline level, this can be a fantastic way to recover those transactions due to insufficient funds that you otherwise might have lost. And finally, for the PSPs in the room, why not, when you're out here today selling to all of the different merchants, trying to get all your meetings booked in, have some new USPs to go into those conversations, to sell to your travel and hospitality portfolio or any of the other use cases that you think this could be applicable to, right? We already work with 4 partners in the payment orchestration place, Bridge, Inai, Sellpoint Digital, which obviously works heavily with airlines and Uno, and we're just about to sign 2 more. So they get it. My question is to the bigger guys in the room, why don't you? And obviously, for those existing accounts that you're trying to manage, this can increase stickiness for that existing client base, especially when we're starting to see the demand ramp up. So that's been me. Thank you for all listening. And I think just to conclude on this, this is obviously going to be a massive opportunity, I think, over the next 12 to 24 months. And I'm really interested to see which PSPs, the larger incumbents, will really take advantage of this space. And obviously, the benefit of working with not only ourselves, but other third-party providers out there is that we can help PSPs get this onto their roadmap and implement and unlock this incremental revenue probably far quicker than you guys can do yourself. So thank you very much for your time, and yeah, I'll see you in the panel.